Welcome to I'm Still Here, real conversations about living with metastatic breast cancer. I'm your host, Heather Jose. I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer at the age of 26 and have now been living with metastatic disease for over 25 years. This podcast is a space for honest conversation about what it actually looks like to live with metastatic cancer, the challenges, the realities, and the ways we continue to build meaningful lives alongside this disease. I'm really glad you're here. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Remember being here?
No. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
They probably feel sorry for me.
They probably can't wait to hear your voice.
No, they're like, why does she not let him do this?
You think so?
That's what they're thinking right now.
Well,
She's kind of mean.
happy spring break to you.
Yes. Woo!
I apologize for the delay. I am such a procrastinator, and I was going to do a podcast last night, and then we had a storm come through, and it knocked out our internet, which means no podcast. So here we are, a little late. Thanks for being here. And today we're going to talk about caregiving as we look at kind of the new structure of I kind of have broken this into like quarters. I want to spend at least an episode every quarter talking about the dynamic between patients and caregivers and just kind of that relationship. And I realize that not everybody has that, and it can look different in a lot of circumstances, and we'll try to address those different things. But for today, I just want to kind of put you on the hot seat a little bit and talk about caregiving in general. So,
Okay.
when you do your vows at 25 and you say in sickness and in health, I'm guessing you didn't expect stage 4 breast cancer 3 years later.
That was not on the, what do they say, the bingo board. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. How do you think initially, what were you thinking about caregiving or what that looked like?
I've clearly, I never thought about it prior to that. I did take my vows serious, but I also think there's part of our DNA that some people are more fit for that than
Yes.
others. I do think it's part of people's DNA or just your genetic code, which makes you better at certain things and not. I am a caregiver by nature.
I would
Forget cancer, I just in general. Now, I am not like, think caregiver. No, it's just when called on, I feel like I can step up to that and be comfortable in it and feel like I'm doing something in that role.
So you can kind of take that I want to fix things nature, right?
Yeah.
And put it into caregiving.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a similar kind of, of that genre. I think they're similar, yeah.
And when you're talking about that, where do your feelings come in on that? Do you feel like I'm being neglected, or my needs don't count, or does that?
Well, I think that's kind of that. All of this is part of what I was talking about there.
Okay.
I think when it's part of your genetics that you just naturally steer towards that, I think you're okay with putting yourself on the back burner. Matter of fact, it's maybe a comfortable thing to do because you feel like you are helping or you're taking part or you're making something better. Because of that, it's okay to be on the back burner. And I'm not saying I loved it. I'm not saying that. I just think I was probably pretty comfortable in it and still am today. But not somewhere I want to be every day of my life. I want to be cared for too, just like anybody else does. But when called on, it makes me feel good And so I guess it's about me.
Well,
it makes me
ultimately,
feel
we're,
good
we're
if I can help somebody.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely see that. And we have outright said this, right, many times that like you're the better caregiver in our situation. I can caregive,
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, you've never been called on to do it like I
You
was.
have, yeah.
If the roles are reversed, you don't know
That's
really
true.
probably till you're in it.
That's true.
Now, I see these super moms out there that we have talked about before. Like they are the ultimate caregivers. That is their life. That's not me.
Yeah, and I think that you have to be careful with that because I think that one, it becomes your identity.
Yeah, right.
And that can be problematic. And the other thing is that it can breed resentment, even though you kind of jump all the way into it, right?
Probably.
It can then bring about something else where you're like, wait a second, what about me at some point?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm only a caregiver in my family. Like if any of my friends would watch this, they're like, "Oh, you are full of shit. What are you talking about?" It's only in my circle that I want to be a caregiver.
Okay, I'm almost like dying laughing right now because literally for 2 days straight, you've been taking nuts out to the squirrels.
They looked hungry.
And they've been very much enjoying them. But I think for you, there's a lot of enjoyment that comes out of like, though, I mean, obviously you're not like, the squirrels can get by without you or whatever. But
and they will, yeah.
But it's...
When you have no internet and have nothing to do, you feed the squirrels and you watch them.
And you have a huge oak tree in your yard.
Huge, yes.
So, yeah.
With a nest in the tree that at least 5 squirrels live in it. I don't know how many, but the whole neighborhood came in. It was very exciting. When you don't have internet. You can't watch TV.
Yeah, and it is really one of those trees like you learn to draw as a kid where the trunk goes straight up and there's that round hole, part way up or whatever. That is the tree, and that is
massive
truly
tree.
where they live. So, okay. So, like, let's talk about caregiving. I don't want to say, like, day to day, but, like, what have been some of the harder days of caregiving, would you say?
I'm sure there were days in caregiving where I'm like, how about fucking me? How about me?
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't remember them, but this was a long-term deal when we were, for that year at least.
Well, it's still a long-term deal. Like, you're not caregiving day to day anymore, but you still have to assume that rule.
She just doesn't. I am caregiving day to day. She just doesn't recognize that. No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you.
No.
I want to hear what you're going to say here.
I think there's no. I want to wait for that. I want you to answer this.
Okay. I don't even remember the question.
No, like what was a hard day, or what does a hard day look like in caregiving?
This is going to sound weird, but I liked the hard days.
Okay. Does hard mean busy?
Hard means I can accomplish a lot for you, and I check things off the box, and I, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to help with this, and I mean that there's something in my DNA that I want to do that.
Okay, but there's also like the hardness of like literally waiting.
Oh, okay. Well,
sitting beside me.
Oh yeah, that sucked. Yeah, all of those days sucked. Results, the whole results period in the first month, whatever the time period. All of those were horrible, and I am not good at that. I always steer away from drama, as you know. I don't want drama in my life. Mm-hmm. I just want to run the other way. That's in my personal life, in my professional life. I don't want drama. I don't need drama. So that's drama. When you're getting results that you have cancer, or it's stage 4, or it's spread, or all of those is drama, and I just I don't want any part of this. Just let me know when you're ready to do something about it. But I don't want the emotion stuff. Is just not my thing. I'm really painting a good picture of myself here.
I think it's very true for a lot of people, though, in terms of they also don't know how to handle the emotions of
I don't.
it.
Yes.
But I think you don't shut me down, though, to talk about the emotions of it.
No.
And a lot of people would. In fact, that was one of, I had asked for questions. We're going to do a Q&A episode here soon, but it was kind of somebody asking about, how to handle their partner basically saying, I don't want to talk about cancer anymore. And they have metastatic cancer. Like,
Oh.
Well,
I think this gets deeper than that. I want intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And intimacy, probably one of the biggest intimacy is truly having a conversation that's deep beyond the surface stuff. That connection that probably only we will ever have, or because of it being you and I like that. I don't like shooting the shit.
Yeah.
I go out in public and stuff, and I don't want to freaking small talk. I don't want to do that shit. But deep conversations is what I really like that. Whether, and I get a lot of them with Sydney and her friends, our daughter. And they push me on that stuff and what my beliefs are and all that. And that's what I remember, having those conversations. Not like I wanted to. I'd rather there wasn't cancer involved. But I think it brings you closer when you're honest about deep, true feelings and can have those conversations. I always feel better on the other side of that.
Yeah, I think the connection part of this is huge, right? Especially if you're caregiving a lot of the time and you don't feel connected. I think, again, that's where resentment, creeps in.
And also with that, I was also appreciated. It wasn't like you're like, you were, it was the opposite of that. You wanted me to be beside you and that was felt, so it makes my role easier there and with that stuff. When you were conscious.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just gave you credit for when you weren't. You probably would have thanked me.
I was sending out those vibes when I wasn't really
responsive
with the world. Yeah. I think it's interesting that you talk about this sort of past tense, like the caregiving, because,
it was.
But
I do very little caregiving when it comes to cancer these days. I'll go to an appointment if you invite me. Mm-hmm. I'll go to a test if you need me. That's it.
Yeah, well, but also...
I do this.
All the surgeries. Surgeries keep coming, it feels like.
Yeah.
Those are all somewhat related to cancer, right? It probably wouldn't
Sure, but everybody has surgeries.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I have surgeries. I think you're really lucky if you get to our age and haven't had multiple surgeries. Maybe you just sit on the couch all the time. I don't know. I think that just goes with, being a good person. I don't know. But if you say specifically cancer stuff, it's appointments and tests, and few and far between. There was probably a stretch where I didn't see Dr. Mariver for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Because you didn't need me to go.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Now I go just because I like talking to Dr. Mariver.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny. Yeah, that's true.
I learn something every time.
Yeah. When did you stop thinking, oh, no, that's not a good one? What do you do with fear if it shows up? When or if it shows up?
Run from it? I don't know. These questions are dumb. Let's be honest. What do you do with fear? I'd love to say I face it and challenge and step out. I don't. Give me an example.
So we know that there's progression of some kind.
Oh, fuck.
I'm going to have to put an E on this episode for explicit.
Oh, sorry. Well, I don't know. I don't know, again, until you put yourself in that situation. But I would hope I would, to some extent, jump back in and be even better at being a caregiver and be able to listen, be able to support, be able to do those things that or read you and get a accurate reading. And I think I'm getting better, but that means I'm like at 30% now. Of when should I just shut that F up and just listen.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, you want me to solve this problem? Let's go. Because there are sometimes you want me to solve the problem, and you're like, just
There's sometimes that I want you to give me all of the possible solutions to the problem and make them sound like they're not insurmountable. Like,
okay,
you know what I mean? I don't need you to do the actual work. I just need you to tell me what the path could be and how easy it's going to be to get there or do it.
yeah. So yeah, I would hope that as a caregiver, I would be a better caregiver if that opportunity shows up again, just because I've lived a whole another life since then.
Yeah.
And we obviously know each other much better now than
Yeah.
we didn't know each other that very long when that first happened. So there was learning us, learning you, learning me, and how we all fit into
Well,
that.
learning ourselves, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I would hope I would just be better at it, because there's no age where I just go, okay, you're on your own, chick. Come on, I did that once. That would never in a million years, and you know that.
Yeah, and so again, going back to that previous question, I mean, my first thought was one, like, is this person, is the caregiver, is he in or not in? And if he's not in, then you have to come back with your own. You have to realize that you can't change other people, and you have to decide what you're willing to accept, right? Mm-hmm. One, I would say therapy would be very applicable here, but also, like, I've realized, not in our relationship, but in other relationships that I have, that are people that are supposedly close to me who have no time for me or don't make time, doesn't feel like.
Right.
I just have to either accept that that's who they are, or I have to just go, I'm done, right? Like, I can't change them, and you can make positive.
And it's no use being mad at them for that, because that's what they're looking for, I guess, out of the relationship, right?
What, the men being mad?
No, I'm just in general, a friend.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, it's, it does come down to, you make time for what you care about, right? Even if it's just little check-ins. Some people are way better at that. I can maintain friendships with check-ins. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But when you're talking about a true back and forth relationship, it is, if one side is not willing to be a part of it, then you have to decide what your boundaries are around that, I think, and be okay with it. And grieve it. You can grieve it too, right? Like, you can definitely grieve the loss of a relationship, even if you're still in it. Like, you can grieve the relationship you might have wanted, I just feel like you don't have to completely, I don't know. You can do whatever you want with that. It's a challenging situation.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about, like, so do you see caregiver as a different role than husband?
I don't know. All I know is me. Mm-hmm. Were you asking me, or the whole?
No, I'm asking you.
At times, yeah. Yeah, at times you need to do things that normal husbands wouldn't do.
Absolutely.
Is there a separation there? I never tried to. That was never my intent, right now I'm now. I think that's who I am as your husband. That's what you got. Right?
Well, and it's funny because I've needed a lot of reassurance about this over the years, but because you have seen me in literally every horrendous situation, yep, all the way back to throwing up on you. I mean, like, right, every one of them.
But a lot of chicks do that to guys. I mean, it's usually coming out of a bar. In your case, it was stem cell transplant. Yeah.
Oh, man. But, like, with that, for me, it's kind of like, wait a second. I feel like I've crossed lines of that, like, you should never have had to be a part of. But
I think a little bit, that's a little bit of your upbringing, too.
Okay.
You were a little sheltered. Let's just say that. A lot of people are way on the other side of that. Like couples.
Yeah.
Like what they see, what they don't see, what they share
Okay.
would make you really, really roll your eyes and just go, what?
Oh, at this point in my life, I wish I would have seen what I feel like is closer to normal. Like,
Oh,
if you
everything's
look-
normal. No. I mean, ours is normal. What we have, what we do, and theirs is normal too. That's what I've learned. Is your normal.
Okay.
And to say that it's not is judging something without being able to ever put yourself in their shoes. That is their normal. This is our normal.
Yeah.
Everybody. And even with cancer, with what you're talking about, right? I mean, that is our normal. If other people hopefully haven't had to do, well, that's their normal. And in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, it just kind of like it's hard. It has been harder for me to kind of put those things away when,
I know.
We're talking about intimacy or whatever else. How can you view me as somebody who's, sexy or somebody who's all of
very easily. And someday she's gonna believe me. You're getting better. You're getting better.
It's hard, I mean, again.
It's not hard
I,
at all.
okay.
But I know you have. I wouldn't say you struggle with that now. Maybe you do. Maybe you just hide it better. I don't know.
I think I'm more willing to live with it or kind of quiet that voice than I was in the past.
Okay.
I think it has taken me a long time to figure out how to, that I feel like for you in terms of roles that you have, like you have no problem switching from caregiver to husband to wanting to be intimate to all of those kind of things. Whereas for me, it's kind of like, whoa, and now it's a little bit easier for me to go, no, that's just who he sees me as, his wife, partner, all of those things, which has been.
It's. You have chosen to separate all of those things.
I have learned to separate. I was taught to separate all of those things, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all of those things are really important, I guess, when we look at navigating caregiver patient dynamics, but also husband, wife, parent, all of those, things.
And I want to say this. I think there's a lot of things in our marriage where I'm not good at that. And after a while, to be honest, you stop coming to me for that. Whatever that is, I'm saying. In this case, it's natural for me to do that. And I want to be those types of roles or whatever. But for the other things, I can still do them. It's just hard for me or I need work at it. So any dude out there that runs away from this and just says, that's not my... Screw you. Whatever. It may be hard, but doing hard things is possible and we can all get better at them. The fact that you said I do, even if it wasn't I do to marriage, but if it was I do to I'm going to support you, whatever, and then dudes that bail out of that, I have zero respect for that. And you're just a coward. That's my opinion on that, truthfully. No, we can do hard things, and we can do things that we're terrible at, and we got to practice and get better at that. Mm-hmm. In this case, it just came easy to me. Certainly wasn't prepared at 28 years old, but I just fell into what my body did and then my brain did, and I just followed that. And it happened to be something that I was more comfortable at than maybe other things. But there's been other things in our marriage where, like, there was zero chance I was deep conversations or serious things. I wasn't touching that, but I knew I needed to, and I knew that would be better for me. So it's not like I practiced, but I
But the
out
more
there.
you do it, the better
Yes.
you get at it, right?
It's a complete excuse that, and it's true that it's easier or more difficult for people.
Yeah.
But the more difficult does not
mean impossible.
Or that you shouldn't.
Try.
It's just.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that people handle this, but like when you're talking about being a patient and a caregiver, like there is this balance of what do you come to me with and what do you go to somebody else with. We've talked about kind of overburdening the patient and how that can be really stressful and not good for patients, right? If the dynamic is off, like you were able to give for me also because you had support other places.
For sure.
And that support didn't mean deep connection other places. It meant hanging out with guys and not talking about anything important, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think again that's kind of going
sports,
back to
coaching.
who you are. It wasn't like you were like, okay, guys, we got to talk about this because I'm feeling very overwhelmed. No,
this never happened in my life.
It was the complete opposite of I'm just going to put this away for a while and do things.
Give me a break.
Yes.
And then
I
be
can
refreshed.
come back in, and I can come back in, and I can go deep if I need to. I can support in different ways.
Yeah.
So it's not, you can disconnect as a caregiver, and you should, right? But you just have to know what that looks like in terms of overall commitment and, is there growth happening throughout all of that?
And we tried to disconnect from that as a couple, too.
Yeah.
When we weren't successful all the time, especially in the early beginning, about, let's try to go out or, do those and be a normal couple instead of cancer world 101. We weren't always successful, but there were times when we laughed and did stuff, and maybe for 5 seconds you forgot about, or whatever.
Yeah.
That part's true there, too. To be all in cancer, you're being forced into that by the predicament you're in.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing to...
I remember early on when I had lost my hair, going out and wearing my wig, and absolutely being like, we went out to dinner, and I think with my parents maybe in Mount Pleasant, I remember, and the whole time I just felt so self-conscious, and it felt so fake. I just that feeling of uncomfortableness the whole time. But I learned something from that, I guess. You know what I mean? And got home and was like, well, that's the end of that. I'm not doing that anymore. Because it just wasn't, it was a boundary I could have for myself or whatever. I could choose to, be a certain way and not have to.
Did you ever wear it again?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. So I remember, all of that was horribly uncomfortable. Like shopping for it when I still had hair. All of the hair things were so uncomfortable. I remember like getting my hair cut shorter when I found out that I was going to lose it, and like that I went to my hairdresser that I'd gone to for a lot of time. It just was, cancer changes so many things, and it just makes every conversation so uncomfortable, especially at the beginning. And I just remember that feeling absolutely terrible, Yeah. So again, and some of that is also just being able to add some lightness to things that are hard, right? Because ultimately, when I did reshave my head, you did, and I remember just like asking or saying something to you, and you were like, "I'm a Marine, for God's sakes! I can do short hair," right?
Yeah.
Like. Just kind of taking on those things that are really, they bring such heavy emotions, and being able to know when to treat them with humor or with care in a way that it really is helpful.
Kind of a hug or a joke.
Yeah.
That's what I'm armed with.
A hug or a joke. Yeah. I think it's true to a certain extent, but I appreciate the advice. I think you gave rather harshly, but truly to partners, and it on a different level. Like, it's funny because we were just talking the other day about you officiate football, and last year I started officiating volleyball, and volleyball I played my entire life. I've coached it. I've been like it. I'm so familiar with the game. There's more muscle memory there in that arena than probably most everything I do. And yet, when you step into a different role, it will make your heart pound. And you know what I mean? And I think you said it best to me. Like, there's not a lot of things at our age that can sort of scare the shit out of you.
Really make your brain start over and go, oh my God.
Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to screw up. And, like, to put pressure on you in a way that is ultimately, what's the worst thing? It's going to be a call that's not correct, right? But to feel that kind of intensity is crazy, but it's also true with like relationships. Sometimes you have to navigate them in a way that kind of makes your heart pound a little bit, to say like, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what I'm feeling, and how can we get through this, or how can we come to an understanding that works for both of us, or what does this look like. And recognizing that a long-term partnership, things are, obviously never 50-50, but just like that ebbs and flows in terms of how much somebody's stepping up at times versus other times.
For sure.
So. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for a caregiver edition.
Sure.
And
on a side note, my wife can't blow a whistle. Tough being official when you can't blow a whistle.
Well,
we found a way around it.
Yeah, you can buy whistles that just handheld. There is,
there's a good reason.
There's a good reason. Cancer really walks its way into virtually every part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I still have, it's called a communication, I still have like some air that goes between my mouth and my nose, my nasal cavity, because of the ONJ. So with a whistle, you've got to be able to blow that really hard. No. I'm also maybe
it's a little bit of an excuse.
Yeah.
But
I could practice.
Whistling is not her forte.
No.
Yeah. We're all good at something.
That is not mine. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Black Cat, thanks for showing up in the picture. And we'll see you next time.
That's it.
Thank you for listening to I'm Still Here. If this episode really resonated with you, one of the best ways you can support the podcast is by sharing it with someone else who you think would benefit from it. If you have questions or a topic you'd like to cover in future episodes, you can reach me through the contact form at www.heatherjose.com. And if you've been living with metastatic breast cancer for 10 years or more, and you would like to share your story, you can apply to be a part of the Sensational Survivor series using the link in the show notes. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week.